just to tell you what we plan to talk about. And it's actually, we wanted not to discuss the methodological challenges in depth because we can't, and now even more we can't, but we wanted to open the door to methodological challenges, which you probably all know, minimally evaluators know a lot about these methodological challenges, and the purpose of our presentation was to open the door and to start discussion on these challenges. And we also try to address these challenges with some solutions, not exhaustive. Also, our list is not exhaustive. We have chosen some of them just to open the discussion later on during the whole workshop. I think we will have a lot of possibilities to tackle them. And we have chosen, Simona is here. She has a microphone. She is a moving part of our team. I'm a sitting part of our team, and I also move the slides. It will be about the results and impact as effects, which sometimes are mixed, then about effects and net effects, about externalities, something like unexpected effects, and factors which may distort the estimation of program effects. And we will go very quickly, but now, Herta, I have to ask you how much time I have before you show me the yellow card. Before we start. So I'm clear how much we can call people to join us, because the original plan was not that we do it with Simona ourselves, but we also invite you to join us, but I am not sure if we can do it like we plan.
We can do it in 25 minutes.
In 25 minutes, my God. Okay, so we have to skip some challenges, the last one, and maybe we call sometimes people, not always. So first of all, as I said, program results and impacts. There are many definitions on results and impacts in the evaluation world, but we like to stick with the DG Agri definitions. And according to this, we see results as direct effects and immediate effects of policy program intervention to be calculated or estimated at the program beneficiary level. So this is the DG Agri definition. While impacts are effects of an intervention lasting medium or long term and refer to the effect of the program beyond the immediate direct beneficiaries at the level of their intervention. It goes beyond beneficiaries, it goes to program area, and it covers all kinds of domains. So this is what DG Agri is using, and we would like to stick with it. But of course, we see that this is not always like this, that this differentiation is not always followed, maybe because of terminology which is used by different clients, and also sometimes the intervention logic is not clear and the expected results and impacts are not properly defined, or they are wrongly defined. So these are the challenges. Now, Simona, your turn. What are possible solutions?
Well, on the terminology, I must say that it was important, especially in the last programming period, to define, to stop at the changing terminologies, because the evaluators were used to the terminologies, so there were some glossaries already done by the CMF and so on, and it was important, and then the evaluators will say what they think on it, but this was my, let's say, feeling by talking with, at the territorial level with the evaluators, that it was important for the evaluators to rely on terminology and be compliant with the terminology already defined by the European Commission. But it was also important not to have changes from one programming period to the others. And that was also pinpointed during the expert group in Brussels meetings. The CMES provided, of course, the terminologies, so the evaluators were used to use that. In any case, at regional level, national level, there was a need also for the evaluators to confront, to speak with the managing authorities, to confront to the managing authorities on the terminologies, in order to speak the same language when conducting then the evaluation, when selecting the methods, and so on. On this point of view, the ex-post evaluation guides focus on a dynamic reading of the intervention logic. And I must say that the approach to the evaluation ongoing was very important for understanding the RDP's intervention logics, because following, during all the programming period, the implementation of the program, and following by accompanying the managing authority during the implementation of the programs helped a lot to better understand the intervention logic. The evaluators participated also to the changes of the intervention logic, where there was a need to change measures, to change something. No? They advised the managing authorities on doing that. So they worked a lot on defining and ameliorating the intervention logic. That meant that they really had the opportunity to have a good understanding of the intervention logic. And this was for the ongoing evaluation approach. And I must say, this was also important for the ex-post, in view of the ex-post evaluations.
Program effects can be understood as a difference of value of specific outcome for the same unit with the program and without the program. As you all know, we cannot have the same situation for the same unit at the same time. So this is a really challenge to identify. While we understand that these outcomes are measured with the means of observable and usually measurable indicators. So what is the challenge? This is actually the major challenge in evaluation, to assess the program effects in the real world condition, to distinguish what happened due to the intervention and kind of see it in real world, not considering other factors which may influence the same outcome.
Good solution, of course, is having done a good context analysis and having a good understanding of the dynamics which ongoing will be intervening during the RDP implementation. In this sense, in Italy, I don't know what happened in the other member states or regions, but in Italy, a good point here was that the ex-ante evaluators in most of the cases were the same as of the period before. So the good understanding, the good context analysis was done also because of it, and the evaluators already knew the context analysis of the RDP implementation, as well as they already knew let's say, the lessons learned on the implementation of the RDPs. This was a good point in order, to have the big pictures, the big picture of the RDP implementation and context. Of course, during the programming period, the evaluators will have also to explain, the managing authorities, because it's in the annual implementation report, they have also the opportunities to pinpoint some factors which will be emerging during the programming period and which will be intervene on the context of the RDP and the implementation of the RDP. So this would be a point of reference also for the evaluators to better understand what's going on and what are the news on the RDP implementation. Of course, one point was not to rely only on quantitative assessment. The indicators are a tool to explain, to describe the evaluation findings, but they are not the only the evaluation itself. So qualitative description is more important in order to have a big picture, a wider picture of what is happening on the program implementation.
Okay, I continue with effects, and then we have a possibility to contribute also from audience. So then we have direct and indirect effects of the program. Well, direct effects are those affecting program beneficiaries in an immediate way as a direct consequence of program support. Well, indirect effects are those program effects which affect the whole program area in economy, society, or environment of the program area, and goes beyond the direct effect on beneficiaries of the public intervention, which means that they cover beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries and the whole area around beneficiaries also. So what is the challenge? The challenge is to distinguish direct and indirect effect, because it covers also both these effects cover beneficiaries as well as non-beneficiaries. And also be careful to overestimate or underestimate program effects, at the same time not taking in consideration indirect effects. And there, of course, we have a challenge that the control group, if looking at effects, can be contaminated. And this can bias the assessment of program results and impacts.
We need to rely on a good and comprehensive context analysis and the analysis of the observable changes in the context, what's going on in the context, of course. And the evaluation ongoing is very helpful in this, evaluation during the program, of course, is very helpful in this. But what is really crucial for distinguishing the direct and the indirect program effects is what the managing authority mean as direct and indirect effects of the program. I mean, what they want to be happened after the program. So the confrontation among the evaluators in order to understand what are the direct effects which are expected and the indirect, of course, aspects which will emerge once the assessment will be done. Then, of course, there's a matter of method, technique to be used, and I mean. There are biases, but one of the good element to assess the quality of an evaluation is the full acknowledgement. There are biases and there are limitations, but this should be acknowledged and should be explained. It's not that in any case they have to be overtaken somehow. But the important thing is to understand that the evaluators incurred in some bias and limitation during the evaluation.
Okay, thank you, Simona. Maybe I should ask at the moment audience. Simona said that managing authorities should say what are the direct effects expected and what are the indirect effects expected. Are there some indirect effects which managing authorities should not expect, for example?
No, sorry, I was wrong. The direct aspect, what the managing authority expects, so this is the direct.
Okay.
Then you can also say, as evaluator, no? You can also say that changes, that observed changes, is an indirect effect because it was not expected by the managing authority.
But maybe is there any opinion from the audience on that?
I hope so.
Yes, Dimitris?
First of all, I would like to congratulate both of you because this is a very important set of issues that you're touching. In my humble opinion, if you deduct impact minus direct effects, the difference is the indirect effects.
Ah, okay.
Indirect effects are due to interrelationships. They are not attributed to what somebody expects or does not expect. They are interrelationships in any system, and I believe that's what you have, indirect effects.
Is this so easy? Maybe one more opinion and then we go on further?
You?
Yes. How can you calculate impact and this direct? You said you're subtracting, making difference between impact and direct impact. But how can you calculate impact otherwise as from direct impact? You cannot do this, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
but...
Okay, then one last comment and then we have to move on. Huh?
It should be short, but
Sorry,
actually...
but may you
It should be
just
short.
say your name?
my name
at
is
the
Jerzy
beginning.
Michalek. I'm from the core group in help evaluation. Evaluation help desk. Actually, I have a lot of comments to this, what has been said here. And really, I mean, the first comment is about what are results and what are impacts. We have to decide on something. Results should be measured at beneficiary level, okay? Now, impacts, there should be results which are aggregated at the regional level or country level, plus we have to add to this direct results all sort of indirect results, yes? Which are substitution effect results, displacement result effects, etc., etc. If you are really sticking to these definitions, you may see that at the beneficiary level, you may have very high effects of program, very high, because the beneficiaries gained really from the program very much. But because the number of beneficiaries was very low, then the impact of the program at the aggregated level could be minimal or zero or even negative. Even negative, okay? So one has to really think very carefully about what do we want to analyze by using words results and impacts. So this is first.
Okay, thank you very much. We will have a lot of opportunities to speak. Sorry to cut you off, but we have to move a little bit further. And Herta will show me the yellow card soon. But we will have a lot of opportunities to speak about this in groups. Okay, so what we have as a next with Simona are net effects. And these relate to what we talked about before. The program net effects are those which are attributable solely to the intervention and take in consideration also indirect effects. And what is the challenge here? Specify which elements we have to take into account for calculation of program net effects. And of course, we have to distinguish observable changes from those caused by intervention and to choose proper methodologies to see the net effects at the end. So, Simona.
I will launch the first challenge to the evaluators, I must say. Which elements are taken into account for the net effects?
Yes.
Because it's too much specific. On the others, I mean, the good understanding of the intervention logic should make clear the observable expected changes. And distinguish from those caused by the intervention and those not, were not caused by the intervention, directly not caused by the intervention. Here, what we can see, I mean, what I observed, it was really the need for relying on good quality primary and secondary data. The secondary data coming from the managing authorities and from the monitoring system is very important, and it's crucial also for the evaluations, of course. And the evaluators should, in this case, it is important for the evaluators, maybe in the ex-ante evaluators, to participate to modeling, to design the monitoring system of the managing authorities, because otherwise there would be a lack, probably there would be some data missing or quality of data missing during the program implementation. And then, of course, we should rely on secondary data, the primary data, good primary data collected by the evaluators. On this point, I would pinpoint the need for total quality data management is quite important. And this is what our managing authorities are very asking for in this programming period.
Okay. The next one we have a, we have a program externalities, which are actually effects which are not exactly expected. There are also a lot of unexpected effects which may lower the expected effects. So, and then the challenge is to identify these unexpected effects early enough, which may happen, or when the intervention is going on, or even at the end of intervention, and try to see how they influence beneficiaries, but also not supported population in the program area.
Well, the identification program causes of externalities in terms of externalities on the theory of the program and on the delivery of the program should be done at ex-ante and ongoing phases. This is crucial, of course, because starting from the selection criteria, the definition of the selection criteria, the setting up of the synergies and complementarities with other funds and so on, then we can of course, during the programming period following also, what will be the externalities. Another point is to remember that the strategic environmental assessment incorporates already in the ex-ante evaluation, which would be integrated in the ex-ante evaluation, already pointed out some social environmental externalities of the program and the mitigation measures. So the ex-ante, the ongoing evaluator and the ex-post evaluator should take in mind the result of the SIA during the evaluation ex post, and maybe, of course, proceeding by an updating of the strategic environmental assessment.
Thank you, Simona. Anybody else could add to that? How to deal with unexpected effects? I can't see. Okay, Franz.
So isn't this SIA wishful thinking? Because I'm not aware of any country who has done SIA ex post or ongoing. Yeah.
She said ex ante.
Yes, and that's what I said. I mean, you have to take in mind that in the SIA you had already some indications on the externalities, socioeconomic externalities and measures for mitigation. And the results of the SIA should be, and the SIA in something, during ongoing the implementation of the program should be updating in order to, well, it's also compulsory, yeah? So,
anyone? Dimitris? Yes?
I have one question. I know it's not easy, but why don't you consider perhaps to use the term unexpected effects? Because externality means a consequence that goes to an unrelated third party. And here, you're very correctly, in my opinion, suggesting the level of direct program beneficiaries and also population in the area. So you don't only refer specifically to unrelated third parties. And externality is a bit of a tricky, I think, term. So perhaps you might like to consider unexpected rather than externalities. Okay, the CI is a very big issue, I agree. But I'm not sure about this term.
Okay, anyone else? Jurek? Yes?
Yes, the problem is that the externality can also be expected. Yes? If you look at the program theory, first of all, you look at the program theory, you will see from the program theory where you should arrive. And some of the effects are at the beneficiary level and are direct. Some may be indirect. You may expect already indirect effects from the program theory, because you will see that there is maybe close links between beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries of some areas, and already because of these links you may expect already some indirect effects. And also externalities can be expected. So I would say that externalities can be positive and negative, but in generally I would challenge first of all this approach which was mentioned at the very beginning, that program indirect effects should be learned from managing authorities. I do not believe it, and I would say that this should be maybe only one approach, but you should actually try to identify indirect effects by interviewing all possible stakeholders of the program. So managing authority is only one part of the stakeholders, but there are many other stakeholders, and you should, from the discussions, from focus group discussion, from using qualitative methods, you should receive from them some indication on what eventually could be an indirect effect of the program. Now, when you learned which direction you should search, then you will apply the quantitative methods. So application of the quantitative methods for the analysis of externalities is always the second stage, right? In the first stage, you use the qualitative methods. At the second stage, you use quantitative methods. And again, you will use the qualitative methods at the end to explain these externalities, to explain why this happened. This is extremely important, right?
Okay, can we use this stakeholder analysis for unexpected effects as well? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would add also that probably a good knowledge management of the previous evaluations would be also good, because I mean every programming period does not start from the scratch, of course, and on some interventions or group of interventions we already know what are the externalities and indirect effects that emerged. So a good knowledge of what happened in the previous programming period, the evaluations of the previous programming period would be certainly a good point to start, to integrate, let's say.
Many thanks for these interesting points. And I move to the last one. And these are factors, such as confounding factors, which distort intervention of program effects. So, how we define them? These are non-program related factors, which are directly or indirectly correlating with the decision to participate in the program. And there can be a lot of reasons, like socioeconomic situation of beneficiaries, accessibility of loans, location in certain region, etc., etc. We have, for example, one of them, it's selection bias, which is quite famous and challenging in evaluation, or which even more specifically self-selection bias, where beneficiaries are kind of adjusting to the call for proposal and to eligibility criteria. So what are the challenges there? To choose the evaluation methodologies then can properly isolate the confounding factors and show the real effects of intervention without taking in consideration these decisions, the factors which are influenced by the decision. And this requires, of course, data sources, which may be sometimes challenging. Data sources which allow to conduct these comparisons and reduce the confounding factors.
Here, what I saw in the evaluations and by talking with the evaluators was that the possible solution are a good data management, of course, relying on primary data, which the evaluators have to gather, and again, totally quality data management methods, which should be offered in the evaluation decided by the evaluators. The matter of methods choices is also crucial, and here the use of a mix of methods and the triangulation could give more, could be best solution in order to, to isolate the different bias. And again, it's also true that bias and limitation to the evaluation can still even stay, even if the evaluation are already done. I mean, the important thing is to have a full acknowledgement that you have some limitations in conducting the evaluation and the new choice for the best solution, but you know also that there are some limitations, some bias in this evaluation. And your managing authorities, of course, is completely acknowledged about this.
Thank you, Simona. And one more round from the audience, maybe from, yes, Magda?
I just wanted to pose a question. Magda, good morning. I'm from the core team of the evaluation help desk. What about the results depend on that external factors? I'm thinking about prices, for example.
Are you thinking about crisis?
Yes, if the results of the project depend on those external factors, how can we distinguish?
Yes, there is a reaction from the audience. Jurek?
Well, the only possibility to separate really program effects from this other confounding factor effects is that we have to have a good control group which would be exposed to confounding factors on exactly the same way as the beneficiaries were. It means that we have to control for all possible factors which would affect directly beneficiaries, and we have to be sure that our group of controls, our control group, is also exposed to the same confounding factors. Let's give you an example, prices. Prices change, yes? Mm-hmm. Price is confounding factor because it varies, let's say, on the region through time. So we have to be sure that our control group also was exposed to the change of the prices in the same way. So we have to control for all of these factors which at the same time affect beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries. And then we'll be able to say, okay, the only factor which was not the same between the control group and the beneficiary was the effect of the program. It was this that the beneficiaries participated in the programs. All other stuff has been controlled for.
Yes, okay. So it's a matter of controlling confounding factors. Okay, that's all, Herta. How did we manage? Oops.
Wonderful.